guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 9 is in the books. We're going to take a look at everything that happened. We're going to go over the Week 9 cheat sheet that's available for channel members over on the main channel, smizzle.tv/join, if you wanted to become one of those. There were some really big hits. There were also some misses. We're going to see where I was right and wrong. We're going to see where I got lucky or where I got unlucky. We're going to go over my Millionaire Maker lineups, my high stakes lineup, my cash game lineups, and everything else, as well as the top 10 finishers in the SmizzGang Listener League. This was a pretty good week for me in tournaments. I had a Millionaire Maker sweat once again. I had it surrounded. Let's see how I did. Thank you all for being here. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the notifications bell. And let's go.
He's a legend.
Here's a look at the cheat sheet. We're going to start there like we do every single week. We had the cash game core values. Jalen Hurts had 25.8 points. He did just fine. Alvin Kamara, massive miss with Alvin Kamara. Not like, I thought he was too big to fail. I thought he had a Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson sort of floor, CMC sort of floor, based on the way that he had been utilized this year. Unfortunately, Taysom Hill's package got in the way, and he only scored 11 points. So I'll take the L on that one. Demario Douglas, he was fine for 4K, 10.5 points, 12.3 for Terry McLaurin. Not great, but didn't kill you, especially not in cash. Jake Ferguson was outstanding with 22.1, absolute smash play. And then we had a little disclaimer. You can't really see it. It's right here by like the microphone. It's right over here. You can't really see it down here. It says, I had an asterisk on it. It said cash game core sub 4K tight end. All of them are fine. My differentiation usually comes through all of the stacks, right? Because when you double stack and bring back, you're naturally, organically going to get different. But if you wanted to have some one-offs that got you different, Jerome Ford, 12.7, not great for tournaments. Gus Edwards put up 2 touchdowns, 17.2 points, so he was good. And then he got spelled by the rookie who ran for like 2,018 yards with 4 60-yard gains and 17 40-yard gains. So he was tremendous, but it took away Gus Edwards as they absolutely throttled Seattle. Ken Walker, scripted out. DJ Moore, absolutely nothing. Evans and Godwin. I did like the Bucks as bringbacks. Unfortunately, it was the other 2 Bucks that did well. I wanted it to be one way, but it was the other way. Cade Otton and Rashad White went nuts, and not the 2 pass catchers. Puka Nacua, not enough. I came off of this play because of the change in quarterback. Any Rams receivers are quite dependent on Matt Stafford being the quarterback. Amari Cooper was where I centered everything on. I think I set a rule in Fantasy Labs that basically said, you know where I start, right? Where like if I have a wide receiver, I try to correlate that wide receiver, but like you can tell it to not to. So I said, look, I don't need a bring back play if, you know, nobody's going to get at the Browns this week. So I do want Amari Cooper, but I don't want to force a bring back. So I allowed Amari Cooper, and it allowed me to get overweight on him. I think I had 26 or 27% Amari Cooper in all my lineups. 6,100. He was an absolute smash on that. Very, very lucky touchdown that he got. The rest of it was fine. Over 100 yards and multiple catches. Mark Andrews did okay, but not great. Kamara, we already talked about. 21.8 points for Josh Jacobs. By the way, Amari Cooper, 27.9 points for him. Josh Jacobs, double touchdown smash, 21.8 points. They were smoking cigars in the locker room after a week 9 win that was completely meaningless. They really did not mess with that coaching staff at all, right? You ever heard somebody say, like, you bring up somebody to somebody and they're like, yeah, I don't F with that guy. Yeah, the Raiders really do not F with that guy at all. They were so happy he was gone. Bijan Robinson, we could talk about this. I might have to make a new shirt. I might have to make a black, not for Bijan. This is not your fault, Bijan. You can't score points when you're holding your helmet on the sideline. They're running reverses to their tight end 2 on the goal line instead of just putting in the guy. It's also not like he's being outplayed by Tyler Algier, who's averaging 3 yards a carry with absolutely no explosiveness. They just won't do the thing because, you know, bad coach McNepo baby just refuses to put the right guy in ever. Football's too easy when you just throw the ball to guys like Drake London and Kyle Pitts and hand the ball or throw the ball to a guy like Bijan Robinson. So I'm just not going to do that because I think that this is like Olympic diving where I get a multiplier for adding degrees of difficulty by throwing the ball more to Kaderil Hodge and Mac Hollins and handing it off to Tyler Algier than actually just giving the ball to my 3 best offensive players 75%, 85% of the time. You just won't do it. So F that guy. I don't mess with him. Just like the Raiders don't mess with Josh McDaniel, I don't mess with Arthur Smith anymore. Black and red redacted shirt's going to hit the shop sooner rather than later. Exclamation point merch in the chat if you're over on Twitch watching the show. Jonathan Taylor, 17.9 points. Like, it could have been bigger, but they retired him at the end of the game as they had basically sewed it up. The defense scored 2 touchdowns. He would have had a much bigger day. Chuba Hubbard strangely did okay, only 10.75 points. Not enough, but like not a full-on snowflake for 5K, especially considering that he did just as well or better than Singletary, who you do not see on this list, and we'll get to that in a minute. Damari Douglas, fine. We talked about Terry McLaurin. Josh Downs, he was injured. That's not my fault. I'm not taking an L on an injured player. Clearly not my fault. Adam Thielen, I'll take an L there. 7.9 points. Not anywhere close to good enough, but he fit in cash game lineups, which kind of sunk people who went with him, overpaying the extra, $700 to get up to CeeDee Lamb, who smashed. AJ Brown, 8,600, 19.6 points. David Njoku caught a touchdown, 12.6. Logan Thomas, 7.1, a bit of a disappointment. Ferguson, 22.1, smash. TJ Hawkinson, 13.3, just fine from a tight end. K. Dotton, separator position for 3K. He puts up 24 points and 8X is his salary. And playing those types of players, as we advocated for at tight end, allowed you to get to either Eagle stacks or Cowboy stacks, or wrapping CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown alpha doubles or alpha secondaries around some of these cheaper budget stacks. The Eagle stacks, the doubles had like 60 points, 60 or 70 points. Cowboys doubles had 84.5. Ravens fans, I put a poop emoji on my printout next to the Ravens fans. Frostbite can attest. Saints, they got Taysom. Nothing we can do there. Commanders threw the ball to too many guys. Eric Bieniemy thinks he's got the Chiefs offense and he's going to throw it to 9 different receivers instead of just throwing it to Dotson and McLaurin and Thomas. Again, consolidate to the guys who are good and your offense will do better, and it cost them. 50 points for that double. 69 points. Very nice day for the Buccaneers for their best double there. That would include White. But the Texans went nuts. Ceiling is dependent on touchdowns. They got them. Against a tough opponent, it's not like the Buccaneers were allowing red zone trips to end up as touchdowns. They did yesterday, 3 of them. Volume has been more than enough to propel Stroud doubles, and there's only 4 pass catchers on that team. Something that all these other teams are using 8, 9 pass catchers. It's only 4 guys, so easy to consolidate around double stacks with them. So if you went with Texan stacks, your bring back as K. Dotton or White, allowing you Jake Ferguson, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown on the way back, probably ended up with things being good. We're going to start with my cash game lineup, which sucked. It started off well, but like I contemplated getting away from Singletary, which would have made me either go cheaper than Thielen to get to my original one had Kamara, Taylor, and Josh Jacobs with Hurts. I wanted the safety blanket of Thielen. He was not a safety blanket yesterday. Singletary is not the one that hurt me with his 4.6 points because he was held by 62% of the field. Thielen was the guy who ended up hurting me in this lineup. Look at this is high stakes. This is a $250 double up. 330, you just got to be in the top 150. Not quite enough. 56% of the field had the Giants defense. Didn't work. 28.2, 17.9 points for Taylor. Just a bad week for me in cash. Did not do well in this Thunderdome as well. This is a 5K entry. I was one of the 2 guys that had Howell doubles. Was able to get different with Jahan Dotson, despite YouTube comments that thought that McLaurin would be less owned than Dotson, and Dotson was mega chalk. He was not. He was never projected to be. He didn't end up that way either because that's the way things are. I said, I'm going to try and get a little bit different. You see 30%. This is a 30-man tournament, right? So like it's 30% is somewhat low owned in this. Goddard broke his arm. That sucked. CeeDee Lamb did great. I switched off of what I thought was going to be the higher owned Ferguson and AJ Brown combo to go to Lamb and Goddard in this one. But like this lineup was never going to win. Not with the Giants doing poorly and Kamara doing poorly and CJ Lamb stacks being up top. Friend of the program, Mike Leone went with a Watson double. He came in second. Congrats to him. Which one is this one? The Millionaire Maker. Okay. Had it surrounded. 8th, 14th, 74th, 103, 156, 183. I think like 17 of my lineups finished in the top 1%. I played 150 lineups. Quick math says that is much higher. That is much higher, like 12.5, 13% of my lineups, 11%, somewhere in that range. Don't fact check me, but I'm close. Finished in the top 1%. When it comes to winning large field tournaments, so like I had 3,000 entry fees, I won $21,000 roughly. When it comes to winning large field tournaments, we had this discussion last week on Twitch. I don't remember if I put it in a video. I don't. If I put it in a video, great. You can go back and reference it from last week's content. But the thought was essentially this. Yes, there is luck involved in daily fantasy. Clearly, just like there's luck involved in poker. The skill is getting your money in good in poker. You got to get in with a 60, 70, 80% to 20, 70, 30, 65, 35 edge as often as possible, and then let the math take care of itself. So the thinking is by double stacking and correlating, CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, Noah Brown, who we talked about extensively on the Friday Lineup Builder show and the anti-Tinkercast, bringing that back with somebody on the Buccaneers. In this lineup, it was Rachaad White. In this lineup, it was Rachaad White. In this lineup, it was Rachaad. Like, he did the best. There's some that have Cade Otton. There's some that have Evans. There's some that have Godwin, taking different shots at players. As I said before, the double stack and bring back, here's two players sub 10%, the bring back at 10%, are going to organically get you differentiated. Overweighting these small edges and adding them up constantly, not in a one game sample size or a one tournament sample size, but over time, puts you in a position where you can get lucky more often than the other guy. And then you have to get lucky. I got somewhat unlucky with this lineup because of the run out, as I had the Colts defense, Lamb, and AJ Brown. I don't think I would have caught Utica all the way up top, as he finished, 17 points in front of me. But you put yourself in a position to get lucky, and I think I had like 25% of this secondary stack wrapped around these things. The Cowboys had a bunch of goal to go situations that would have, if they scored 2 CeeDee Lamb, pushed Philly to have to throw the ball, which would have resulted in more AJ Brown catches and a bonus and possibly a touchdown. None of the 7 teams that finished in front of me had AJ Brown, and I was 6 points out of second place, which is 100K. So I got in the position to be lucky and then didn't get lucky because that game didn't run out the way that I needed it to run out in order to get there. That's the luck when it comes to daily fantasy. The skill is putting yourself in a position to win more often than the other guy, so that when you have an opportunity to get lucky and it works, you get the run it that you want, you win the maximum. So that's kind of the key. All of my CJ Stroud lineups right here. If you want to pause the video and take a look at them, you can. I ended up with like 15, 17%, something like that, of CJ Stroud lineups. All of them doubles, some of them really good, some of them less good, but it is what it is. Taking a look over at this game here. This is the Scott Fish Bowl 13, the main event. I've already qualified for the playoffs. You play 2 games a week. You play against your opponent, then you play against the median. So that's why I have 16 games already. So I've qualified for the playoffs. Now I'm just playing for seeding. Solid week for me here, especially with all the guys that I have on bye week. Really funky scoring, really fun. Look at my bench right now. Deshaun Watson, I did not play, would have scored me 10 more points. I could still lose this game. He's got 2 players tonight and is actually favored to win. But I put up a really solid score this week. I made a mistake going with Mike Boone over one of my backup running backs. Cost me a few points. I don't think that Deshaun Watson or playing Minshew over Watson is a mistake. But I picked up Noah Brown off waivers before that week. I'm pretty proud about that. Picked up Mike Boone. That one didn't work and had to deal with the fact that I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Josh Palmer is injured and out. Evan Engram on bye week. Devon Achane injured. Kyron Williams injured. This team is very dangerous with 3 starting quarterbacks in a super flex league, 2 stud running backs, a whole lot of depth, and great wide receivers. The wide receivers are strong, very strong. Hopefully I can make it through the eliminator weeks and do some damage. I think I'm one of the top 250 teams right now in the Scott Fish Bowl, and I think I'm set up very well for the playoff week. So fingers crossed with that one. Going over to Underdog, I was so close. I hate injuries. Injuries suck. 5 picks to win 2,000. Lost $100 on this one. Minshew over 4.5 rushing yards. He got 5. Jalen Hurts over 28. He had 36. Chuba, he had 58. Kadarius Hodge, easy. And Daniel Jones got hurt and did not quite get me to that rushing yard that I needed. If you don't have an account over at Underdog Fantasy, use the code ALSMizzle to get up to a $500 free deposit bonus on your first deposit to the site. Let's take a look at the Listener League and Bolton Hiller. Let's see. CJ Stroud, double stacked, Collins and Dell, brought it back with Otten, had Gus Edwards, 5 under 5, Hubbard, salary relief, Taylor, correlated running back on running back, secondary stack, CD Lamb. Browns defense was a smash. Jay Shan was in first for a tick. He went with the Dak Prescott, Ferguson, Lamb double stack. He had DeAndre Swift bringing that back. White to Noah Brown as a secondary. Cooper, McLaurin as one-offs. Browns defense, great lineup. On the last play of the game, CD Lamb caught that ball at like the 3-yard line on that deep dig that he ran and then fumbled it. DraftKings accounted for, or not DraftKings, it's Stats Inc., accounted for the catch and the yards, did not account the fumble until after. So there was celebrations happening in Discord as Jay Shan, an OG member of our Discord, was in first, and then all of a sudden they added the fumble and he was back in second. But a massive day for him. I know that he won another one. Congratulations to him. Call me tomorrow. Congratulations for the 215. All these fantastic scores over 200. Y'all must have had big days, and I'm happy. I'm proud of you, and I'm happy for you. Odia. I don't know how to pronounce that, but congratulations to you. D Gobble 14, T Roger 209.50 around CJ Stroud. A lot of CJ Stroud and Dak Prescott more than likely at the top of these. Stevie C Jr. coming in 7th. Cannons 33 and tied for 9th. Jay Sizzle 727 could not play a Miami double, so he's forced onto CJ Stroud. Congratulations for your 9th place. There's your shout out. And ML Butler 60 tying at 203.2. I hope you guys had a great week. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.